Stine from GuitarZoom here, and today what we're going to be doing is talking about the outro to Bark at the Moon by Ozzy. Why? Because there's some really cool things that are happening over these chords. And again, when it comes to soloing, what we want to always remember is that we're not always just playing, like moving up and down the fretboard, but we're reacting to chords. And Jakey Lee from Ozzy's band at this time had some really great little ideas, little motifs, if you will, happening in this section. So what I want to do is I just want to break down a little bit what's happening. Now, the actual song is tuned down a half step. I am not tuned down a half step. I'm tuned standard to make it easier for you. And I just want to talk a little bit about what the chord progression is and then what we're doing over the top of this thing. Okay, so basically what's happening is it's an A. Well, we'll go through power chords. That's what the chord progression is doing, is just going A, G, F, E. Okay? This A, G, F thing is a very common chord progression in metal music. Use that kind of, again, it doesn't have to be in the key of A, but that movement, that what I call a whole step movement, is really important, and we use that a lot in this style of music. So what we're doing is we're using A, G, F, and E. Now, technically, it'd be an A minor chord, and a G chord, and an F chord, and then what happens at the end there, it could be E major or E minor. It probably is an E major, but again, Jake isn't playing full bar chords anyway, he's playing power chords, but the fact of the matter here is that these chords are set up to be in the key of A minor. So we're using A minor, G major, F major, and then this E major, which actually comes from what we call the harmonic minor scale. Now, Jake doesn't use a harmonic minor scale here. He just uses regular stuff. So I don't want to get off on a tangent of all these things, but let's look at the actual chords that are being played and what's happening here. So over the first chord, okay, there's a little rhythm that's happening, and again, it's a soloing discussion, so I don't want to get too deep into the rhythm, but I just want to break down what's happening here because it might be kind of fun for you to play and see some of the chord fragments that he's actually using. So when the song starts, you've got this. Okay, and so this is all happening over the A chord until that G comes up. So we have A, and right there we have 2 5s, 2 7s, which is, again, epitome of these 80s style bands, whether it's Kix or Crocus or any of these kind of bands, Iron Maiden, all those kind of bands use kind of things, but we're going 2s to 5 to 7s on the middle 2 strings. Now right here, this is what I want you to catch, because right there I'm going 4 and 5 on the 3rd and 4th strings. Well, that's the middle of this G chord. So Jake is very aware that these fragments are part of a bigger picture, which is the chord. And now all he does is he plays, but he doubles those. Now, if that's too hard for you to do, you can just play them singly, but he's got... Okay? And then he does this little octave thing, which is going from 3, I'm playing the 5th string and the 3rd string, I'm sliding up to 5, back to 3, to 2, and then I'm using my middle finger to hit the G up here. So we have, sorry. Okay, now all that sliding stuff is still coming from this same key. Again, we're not going to worry about all that because that's not what our discussion's about, but it is. Then we go to our octaves. Okay, then we just do this little dissension. We're going to go, so we're playing the 2 notes of the G that we did before. We're sliding back a whole step, and it's creating F. Chord that we're on, and then we know E is coming next, so what he plays next is, he's going to play an E power chord. So I'm playing 2, I'm playing 0, 2, 2, and then 4 on this string. Now, I play it as a big fat power chord because I think it sounds cooler, so that's what I'm doing. So let me play it nice and slow for you. And then right here I'm going... Okay, So that's how the first part goes. The second time is exactly the same thing, except the middle changes a little bit. It goes. And then here we got. And again, it's just right over G. So he's doubling the notes. He's playing 5, 4, 5, and then 7, 5, 4. So we have. Okay, so it sounds like this. And then we're just going to go right back into the. That's how I'm playing, is I'm going. Okay? Anyway, so that's the rhythm. Have some fun with that and make some good noise and annoy your neighbors, right? So now let's move on to the solo and take a look at what's happening here. So you've got this really cool kind of little lick happening. So the first time, and again, there's a million things he could have done with this, but let's just break down what he did do. So you're playing a pull-off from 13 to 12 on the second string, and then you're going to the 14th fret of the third string. And then you're just going to go back up to the 12. So we're just going around. So that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, that's the pattern. So it sounds like this. Okay, so it starts with a single, I'll call it, and then a double, double. So it sounds like. Okay, if I put those together a little faster, that's the pattern. Okay, now if we look at what's actually happening there, we're just playing notes out of a pentatonic scale. And we could call it the diatonic scale as well, because it's got that 12 in there. So if you knew your do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scales, it could be coming from that. But what we want to look at are these two notes right here, which are part of the A minor chord. So if we just listen to that A, it sounds pretty cool. Now, if I wanted to resolve it, like if that was the only lick you learned, you could go. It would sound pretty cool. Or, either one of those two notes would fit as a resolve from that lick. We're not resolving, though, because the next thing is it's going to the G chord, so we're going to move as well. So the next thing you play is this. So it's the same pattern in terms of its picking, in terms of its movement, but the frets are different. I'm playing 15, 12, 12. 15, 12, 12. So I'm going. So same. See that? Okay. So those notes, all three of those notes fit over a G chord, so that's perfect. Okay. Then it moves to an F chord. So then what he does is he moves up. Now here we get something a little different. He moves into what we call a string skip. So he's playing 17 and 13 on the second string, and then 15 on the fourth string. Same pattern, just the frets are different. Now let's take a look at that. We're on an F chord at that point. So if we look at that, we've got A, which fit nice. We had that one extra note. Those two notes were part of the A minor. Then we went to G. And all those notes fit fine. And now we're on this F chord. So now we've got. Well, let's look at those notes once. If we had an F bar chord sitting here, this note comes from the F. This note comes from the F chord. This note does not. Okay, so it has one note that's off. But again, you can hear this melody that he's creating by going. Now, I'm not playing the pattern right, but you hear that note? How it's moving up? So he's creating a melody that's moving. he's creating his own little melody inside that little lick. So he's using the notes of the chord, some of the notes anyway. He's creating this little melody at the same time. F. So we have... And then it goes to an E chord. Well, down here, or up here I should say, we're going to play the same idea, but we're going to play 15, 12, and 14 over here. So it's still a string skip. Okay. Now again, if we were to look at an E major or minor chord, but I'm fairly certain that the inference is that it's a major. We've got a 14 and a 12 that both are part of that chord. And we got this 15 that is not part of the chord, but again, it's part of the melody that he's creating. So if you think again... So he's creating that melody over the top of it. So let me break it down for you one more time. And then we move. Then we move. Then we move. And then it starts all over. Sorry. Okay, so let me explain to you a little bit, because there's one more lick coming and then we're done with this, but let me kind of explain to you what makes this difficult apart from the obvious, right? Trying to get used to this. Now let me break down my picking, because my picking is the same all the way through this. Okay, so the first thing I've got is a down pick that leads to a pull-off. And that'll work that for every other pattern. This will work exactly the same way. So I've got this down pick that leads to that pull-off. And then what's going to happen is the next one I'm going to do is going to be two downs. I'm going to play down, down. Now this lick, again, in many different formations across the fretboard, really leads to one of the key kind of speed licks that bands from the 70s moving into the 80s and such started developing, was this. Well, that's exactly what Jakey Lee is doing here, just a different looking shape, right? So we're going down, and then that pull off, and then we've got two down. So the goal with those two downs is to push through. Don't pick and then lift and then pick and then lift. Don't pick the pickup like that, because you'll never get fast enough. The goal is to push through those. You'll also notice that I'm keeping all the other strings around me quiet by touching them, so they're not going to make noise on me. So as I play down, pull off, down. Okay, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to start all over again, but I'm going to do two pull-offs. The difference here is I just ended on these two downs, right? I push through. So my pick is sitting down here. So the first one that I'm going to do with an upstroke. And the second one I'm going to do with a downstroke, because I'm sitting up here now. So the second one is actually the repeat. So I have down, down, up. Now right here. So let me say it out loud if I can play and talk at the same time here. So I've got a down, pull off, down, down, up, down, pull off, down, down, up. And on that up, there's a pull off as well, right? And when I go to the G, the one over the G chord, I'm barring over the two 12s. And I'm doing the same thing. Okay, that pull off is giving me an escape to get ready for the two downs that are coming. Now, if you play this differently and you already play it, or there's a different picking pattern that seems like it works better for you, again, I'm just giving you a suggestion of what works for me as I'm playing this. Okay, so now as I'm playing this, now after I come off that down, down, I got to start the next pattern. But look at where my pick is. It's down here. So I'm going to start that pattern with an up. I have to switch it, okay? I started the very first one with a down because it just felt more comfortable for me. It's on a downbeat to play it as a down. But when I get here, I don't have any choice. I've got to play it as an up because I'm sitting below the string right now. See that? And then when I move to the next one, the same thing's going to happen. I'm going to have to start with that upstroke every time because I'm ending with those two downs. Okay? And then, so it's just something to think about a little bit. So when you're playing it slower and then you start speeding it up, there's a bit of a transformation that happens in your brain. Like right there, that's what I'm doing is that pattern, and it feels very comfortable to me because it's faster. So it's a natural motion that my hand wants to take. See, I push through the two, no matter what they are, no matter if I'm string skipping or not. Now, when I do the push, when I've got a string that I'm skipping, I'm actually hitting the string. I'm just killing it with my hand. So in the bigger picture, you're not going to hear it. But I'm actually pushing through the fourth string, the third string, and the second string. I'm pushing through all of them. But I'm deadening that third string so you're not able to hear it. So I'm not trying to jump over it as I'm playing. I'm literally picking it. But it's moving so fast and I'm deadening that string to where you don't even notice that it's there, which is kind of the trick to it. Otherwise, if you were trying to like go and you're trying to jump over it, it would make it substantially less fast, right? So the trick to the speed here is for you to get used to going. You first develop that. Just that pull off. Again, I'm starting with a down pick because I'm starting at the beginning here. And then I'm pushing through those. And I'm ending with that upstroke. That's the first thing I got to get used to because a lot of people have a really hard time pushing through those two strings at the same time. They want to do this and there's just no way of gathering enough speed. Okay, so that's the first issue that we're going to have. So we understand what's happening with the rhythm. We understand what chords it's coming from. We can see how the shapes themselves are deviated from those chords. They're relative to those chords. And how the notes that aren't necessarily part of that chord are actually creating a melody, right? Which is kind of cool. And now we kind of understand the picking structure of how we could pick this. And again, if you do something different, it's okay. You know, if you don't want to do it exactly the same way I'm doing it. But just remember, the only reason I'm starting with a down at the very beginning is because for me, it feels comfortable to start on a down. But you can see as the pattern, as it goes through all those other different shapes, I'm not starting on a down. I'm required to start on an upstroke because I'm pushing through with those two downs. I don't want to back up again. I just want to keep going. Here it comes. See, I'm on an up. Up. And then up. I'd be on an up right there. And again, when I play it slow, it feels weird because if I was really playing it that slow, I wouldn't really worry about the downs and the ups. I could play the entire thing with downs and it would be just fine. But as it gets faster, and think about it as strumming. That's really what you're doing. Right? I mean, that's essentially what you're trying to do. But you just have to remember that the pattern itself is going to shift because you're not thinking about just down-up strumming. You're thinking you're getting two notes for one strum. So when you get done playing those two notes, in order to make the next note happen immediately, we've got to play it as an upstroke. And then that pull-off gives us a sense of relief just for a little bit to do something else. Now again, you might decide you want to do them both as up strums. You know, every note that you play on this might be an up strum for you. And that would be okay. That will work okay too, all right? So whatever seems like it's going to work for you. All right, now the last thing that's in this little solo is this little dissension that happens in A minor. And again, it's really from the A minor scale technically, okay? We can kind of see pentatonic in there as well. That lick. It happens twice. It happens once in the middle, and then it happens at the very end. And what you're doing here is you're doing a pull-off from 13 to 12, and then you're going to play 15 on the second string, back to 12 on the first string. And then you're going to play 15, 13, 12 on the second string. Then you're going to go to 14 on the third string. Oops, sorry. Again, when I play them flat, slow, it just gets weird. There you go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to return to the second string. We're going to do 12, 13, 12. So I have... Okay. Okay. And then we're going to go 14, 12. And then we're going to end with a pull-out from 14 to 12 to 14. So I have... There's the roundabout. Return. And it's the same lick both times. The difference is how do we get out of that lick when we're done? Out of that pattern, if you want, whatever you want to call it, but that scale run. And the trick with this is trying to keep it all decka, 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 decka. Because you might want to make this, and you don't want to do that. It wants to be the same speed all the way through. So when we're going... So the first time you do it, you're coming off of here. Okay, then we go back. Now, right here, instead of going back into this one, you're not going to do that. You're going to go into... And you start right all over again. And then at the very end, you're going to come off of that. And you're going to do that same exact pattern again, but you're going to end on the 14th fret of the third string, which is an A. So you're ending on the root. You're ending on the A at the end. So it's kind of cool. And I was just thinking about this, which is why I decided I should probably try and show it to you a little bit, just because, again, it encompasses so many different things. If you're a technical kind of player, there's lots of really fun stuff that you can do in here. If you're more of a songwriter, there's a lot of really great stuff going on down here, or the melody that he's creating up inside there that's really neat as well. And just the similarity between all those patterns and the way that you're picking it is really fun too. So it's just really kind of a cool thing for you to explore and see that you can work up a little bit and have some fun with. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I want to take a minute to let you know about the GuitarZoom Academy, which gives you one-on-one access to a professional guitar instructor to help you define your goals and develop a clear path on how to accomplish them. To learn more about the Academy and how it works, go to guitarzoom.com/academy or check out the link in the description. Thank you so much.